Hi guys, welcome to video blog number 8. Let's see, it's around 6:30 at night and I'm still feeling the effects of the infusion. I was finally able to eat something. A little bit of a lack of appetite, but that's normal. Kristen, there she is. Hi Kristen.
Hi.
Tells me I'm doing very well and that the nurse has been happy with how I'm doing. So, finally got the port de-accessed today. You can see it's a little swollen and sore from being accessed all week, but overall not too bad. I'll have the next 2 days off to rest, and then Monday we'll re-access my port and I'll be back to daily infusions. So I will bring you more reports then. I'm going to take the weekend off. What can I tell you so far? The infusions themselves are, it depends on who you are, but for me, they can be very stressing because I don't like feeling disassociated, and it actually kind of triggers fear in me. We've been able to combat that with using tactile things like hugging my pillow for my grandma. Apparently, I while under the influence, indicated that my grandma was with me and told her boyfriend Joe to know about something, which I had to laugh because when I came to, Kristen asked me, "Who's Joe?" And I'm like, wow. The only Joe in my life has been, or was, and may his memory be a blessing, my grandma's longtime love who passed away before her. Unbeknownst to her at the time, we were hiding that I had cancer, and we weren't sharing it with anyone because we were afraid that if my grandmother found out, it would send her off the deep end, because my grandma and I were very, very close. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her or something about her, or hear her voice in my head, or feel her presence. So was she with me? Why not? She's always with me, right? So how am I doing? So the CRPS is doing better, and the post-mastectomy syndrome, the tram flap spasms, have decreased. I've had some spasmodic activity where you get a really good pain, like a 10, that catches you, and then it lets go. And occasionally some residual pain, but not the intense pain that I've been experiencing, not the intense burning. A lot of that has tapered down some and been more tolerable. But that doesn't mean you can do just about anything you want. If you push it, you will feel it. So don't let the numbing effect or the decrease cause you to overdo. I mean, you want to be moving as much as you can. That's the thing about CRPS, is you've got to move through the pain, and that's the only way to keep muscle atrophy at bay. That's the only way to try and keep whatever level of mobility that you have. I know for me, it varies day to day. Some days I can walk better than others, and some days I can barely walk at all. It all depends on, how the disease is hitting me that day. We're not going to know for certain how these treatments have worked for me until after we get through with the infusions and see what we get with a final product, and then I'll have to repeat the infusions periodically in order to keep things at bay, which is unfortunate because it's not a fun thing to have to go through, but it's a lot kinder in some ways than all of the blocks I've been through, the radiofrequency ablations and lesionings, the trigger point injections, the tram flap injections, oh God, I don't know how many injections of various kinds, hundreds that I've tried over the years to try and help this. That's actually turned out to be not a good idea anyway. As at this point, they say no more blocks for me, because of the risk of spreading the CRPS, because we've already had a spread from the breast biopsy. I've noticed some decrease on this side, and I'm hopeful that that's going to be a plus, that we're treating it fast enough to hopefully be able to pull back the spreading that's happened on the right side. I know that it may not necessarily pull it back, but if it helps the pain, again, that makes it worth it. Decreased pain means you can have a better quality of life. It doesn't mean that you get to go back to square one and be all that and everything that you were before the disease struck you, or before you had surgical issues, or whatever it is that's leading you to consider this type of infusion therapy. If you have CRPS, or if you have post-mastectomy pain syndrome, I'd highly recommend talking to your doctors about it, especially if you've gotten to the point where you're doing blocks every 4 to 6 weeks, which is where we were at with me. That you're constantly getting stuck with needles, constantly dealing with it, and having to increase in medications. For me, I was very leery of that, and I worry about being on medications and what they do to your body and so forth. I'm somebody who used to be a pain in the neck about taking a vitamin, okay? But I have to say that it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Now, one of the terrible side effects of having CRPS or RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, is that it can wreak havoc on your teeth, and so can tamoxifen and a number of the other medications that I have to take. So that's why I've had some teeth issues, and I do normally have a partial, but right now it's not very comfortable in my mouth, especially where I've had this the waves of nausea off and on, which is normal from the infusions. Thankfully, I have not vomited today, which is great. You know, I'll take that. Vomiting is no fun. Excuse my voice. That's not unusual. That actually is something that's common with CRPS patients, is that your voice box decides to do its own little tune every once in a while, and you don't really have a choice. So I sound like a young man going through puberty. Guys, post your questions, your comments, anything that you want to know about, and let me know. I am happy to share. The more we share with one another, the more we can help each other as patients to be warriors and to keep fighting until we have a cure. So here's to a cure for CRPS. Peace to everybody. Much love and light. Have a good evening, folks.